In the last stream, we were working on crafting the air, earth, water, and fire keys and using those at 4 different shrines to get the air, earth, water, and fire blocks. And then from there, we unlocked the eye quest line. And this quest line here has 16 different eyes that we now need to craft in order to unlock the final quest line of the pack. And we did a little bit of work at the end of the last stream to make it a bit easier for us today to craft a lot of these eyes. A few of them are going to be pretty straightforward, a couple of them are going to be slightly more difficult, and 1 or 2 of them are going to be a big pain in the backside. But basically, right at the end of the last episode, we did upgrade our power situation with this new lapidary dynamo. The idea being, of course, that we're taking our diamond seeds, growing diamond essence, that diamond essence is then being auto-crafted over in the corner, and then the diamonds are being sent around via our basic inventory hopper into the lapidary dynamo, which currently is producing 480 redstone flux per tick because we have the integral component and the auxiliary reaction chamber augments installed. Now, currently, it is not quite enough. If I do have all 3 of these Stirling boilers on at the same time, at that point, we're making just enough power to hold steady. You'll see in the top there, it kind of flickers between 1.6 and 1.9. That is us making the perfect amount of power to keep everything running. And by everything, I mostly mean these 2 phytogenic insulators here, making the diamond seeds and the inferium seeds, because these are the most important to us right now. We need to keep the diamond seeds going because these are making diamonds for power. And then we need to keep the inferium seeds going because this is really going to be our bottleneck for really the end of the pack. We need a ton of inferium, almost 10,000 inferium, I think, if we want to finish the pack here. And so we need to make a lot of inferium essence to the point where I think it is probably going to be in our best interest to actually set up more of these phytogenic insulators for even more inferium. Now, of course, to do that, we are going to have to get some more power. And between streams, I was talking to the Twitch chat, and it turns out that not only is there a lapidary dynamo, there's also a lapidary boiler. The lapidary boiler here works in a very similar way to the Stirling boiler, but it will run on gems, like diamonds. And so instead of putting the diamond directly into the lapidary dynamo, we can instead put it into the lapidary boiler. Now, initially, it seems like there's not really much point in doing this. It does show them both in JEI, but you would think that you'd still get the same energy output. But it turns out that if you put a diamond into the lapidary boiler and then use the resultant steam to power a steam dynamo, you actually get double the amount of power from that 1 diamond. So instead of getting 500,000 redstone flux, you instead get 1,000,000 redstone flux from 1 diamond, essentially making it twice as efficient. And so I think what we're going to do is kind of replace probably all of the Stirling boilers here with lapidary boilers, probably make a few more steam dynamos, probably get rid of the lapidary dynamo altogether, and just use the steam dynamos and the lapidary boilers to produce even more power than we're currently producing. That might require more diamonds. If that is the case, we can always look at either increasing this, because right now we do only have the 1 flux linkage amplifier in here. Over here, I did add more flux linkage amplifiers to this phytogenic insulator. Again, we really need more inferium to beat the pack, but we could always make this faster. We could also, of course, look at adding even more phytogenic insulators to grow diamond seeds as well. But all of that is going to be in service, of course, of getting all of these eyes. The idea with these eyes is that we are going to use them for 2 purposes. The first purpose is to craft this Ender Eye Curio. That is going to allow us to place Ender Eyes inside of the portal in the End Stronghold and then head through to the end to fight the End Dragon. But the second use of them is actually for placing inside of the Stronghold, because in this pack, I believe that we have to put 12 unique eyes into the Stronghold portal to visit the end. And so I think the very first thing we'll do before we even start working on the power problem is we'll grab our structure compass, shift right click on there, and if we type in Stronghold, we should be able to search. I'm hoping that there's regular Minecraft Strongholds and not better Strongholds. I'm going to right click on that. Minecraft Stronghold cannot be located within 10,000 blocks. In that case, it might be that just like in the nether, we have to actually go and search for a better stronghold. We do. So there's one 3,000 blocks away. I'm going to get in my boat and I'm going to head over to that stronghold. One thing I will do here is I will quickly grab my wallet so we can purchase some more warp pipes. That's going to allow me to place a warp pipe down at the stronghold to allow us to quickly and easily teleport back and forth. The reason that I'm going to go to the stronghold first is that I do want to see how many eyes are already in the portal, because I believe there are going to be a few eyes in the portal already, and that's going to give us an idea of how many extra unique eyes we need to make. And so real quick, I am going to head about 3,000 blocks that way to see if we can't find our nearest stronghold. All right, so I think it is just beneath us here. The compass is kind of just showing it as being vaguely down. No matter which way we move here, it kind of just reroutes us. So I'm assuming that if we dig down around here, that we should find it. All right, so I believe that this is where we want to be. Now, we do have to be a little careful because we currently don't have creative flight, nor do we have very good armor either. We're currently just rocking our diving suit, so we do very much so want to not die here where possible. What might not be a terrible idea is doing a quick slash home and grabbing like a bucket so we can water our way down. We just need to find the end portal. If we can find the end portal, that will tell us exactly how many eyes we're going to need. And then also, of course, we can just throw down our warp pipe right by the portal so that next time when we do come back, we don't have to go through this whole rigmarole again. We can just go directly to the portal. Chat makes a good point here. If we press J, we can see quite clearly that this room here is where we need to go. If you double click, you can put a waypoint down. We'll put portal and click save. And I'm hopeful that that makes it a bit easier for us. So we kind of need to head vaguely back in that direction to try and find this this portal room. And then we'll throw down our pipe once we get there. All right, here we go. This is better. Let me quickly disperse of the silverfish spawner. So we only got 2 eyes in here. Let me throw a warp pipe down. I'm also going to have to get my warp pipe wrench as well, but that's fine. So there are 2 eyes down. We need 10 more eyes if we want to fill this up. Okay, that is good to know. Let me do a quick slash home. Let's grab our pipe wrench, this guy right here. Let's also throw down our cyan warp pipe. I am going to put this actually probably just next to the nether pipe upgrade as well. So I'll just throw it down right here. Of course, as per usual, I do want to put this down like that. And then we'll do something like this. And then if we shift right click here, do a quick slash back and shift right click here, we should now be able to just shift on here. And as soon as the cooldown is over, shift to get back. Cool. All right. So what I am going to do real quick now, back over here, I am going to get rid of all of the junk that we just got through mining in the ocean. And then I'm going to quickly look at making a couple of these lapidary boilers and a couple more of the steam dynamos. I will also probably make quite a few more of the integral components as well. And I'll probably do away with using these auxiliary reaction chambers. They are good in that they increase the maximum output of a dynamo. They produce more power, but they do reduce the efficiency. And so on its own, if we take all 3 of these out, this produces 120 redstone flux. If you put all 3 of these in, it produces 480, which is 4 times as much power. But if you instead just put down 4 lapidary dynamos, you get the same power output without the efficiency loss, which basically just means that you have to use fewer diamonds to get the same amount of power, which I think for us is going to be ideal. And so instead of using any of these augments right here, I'm just going to make more lapidary boilers and more steam dynamos to get the power output that we want. Thankfully, the lapidary dynamos here are super easy. They require lapis, redstone, copper, gold gears, and then a steam pipe. Let me quickly get the gold gears cooking in here. The steam pipe requires 2 cured rubber and some hardened glass. This is by far and away the most tricky part of this. The cured rubber here is made by smelting regular rubber, which we get by crafting either vines or, more importantly for us, dandelions around a water bucket. Currently, we have 1 dandelion. That's actually perfect though, because we can then take that 1 dandelion and grow it either in a phytogenic insulator or in a botany pot. And given how easy it should be for us to get another botany pot, I feel like I'm probably going to go that way, especially because we can also accelerate the botany pot very easily using our time in a bottle. We've not really been doing it up until now, but over here we can do something like this, and that should increase the speed of the botany pot quite significantly. And so we should be able to use some of the 6.5 hours that we have inside of that time in a bottle to make getting more dandelions even easier. We could also, of course, if we wanted to, take the bone meal that we have over to the grass that we have over here and just do this, making sure that our ultimine is set to shapeless to try and get dandelions as well. Whether or not this is a good use of time is kind of questionable. I don't know. First of all, I didn't want to get rid of that dirt there, but we do need 8 dandelions to get just the one rubber, and then we're going to need at least 2 rubber per steam pipe. So I do think it's almost certainly going to be in our best interest to grow these in a botany pot. And then from there, once we have rubber, we can also use that rubber to make our first energy cell as well, this redstone flux cell. This needs 4 rubber in total, as well as some redstone, some iron, some gold, and some electrum. That seems fairly straightforward. This is going to allow us to actually store a buffer of energy, something we've not really done up until now, just because we've not had the rubber to do it. But yeah, real quick, I'm going to make some botany pots, and I'm going to get, hopefully, a fairly large number of dandelions so that going forward we can make as much rubber as we like. And not too long later, we now have just over 80 dandelions, which I think is going to be enough for us to get 3 of the lapidary boilers along with 1 energy cell. The Twitch chat is telling me, though, that we can potentially use this Sterling boiler as a way of getting a steam pipe. Supposedly, if we craft the Sterling boiler with the redstone flux coil, it will give me a steam pipe bank, because we needed to use the steam pipe to turn a Sterling dynamo into a Sterling boiler. Obviously, we didn't do it this way. We did it with this recipe, but it looks like we might be able to kind of cheese the steam pipes by crafting a redstone flux coil. So real quick, let me get a couple of these here. Let's also get some redstone, of course, for our magma crucible. And if we do this and this, we'll hopefully get a couple of these coils. And then the idea here is that we craft these coils with the boiler, and look at that, we get a steam pipe back. That is pretty nifty. I don't know if that is how it's intended to be done given the custom recipe, but it is a pretty nifty way of us being able to fairly easily turn our pre-existing Sterling boilers into lapidary boilers, because we can just take these, we can do something like this, craft it, and craft it. Nice. And so that does mean that we don't need quite this many dandelions, which is fine. It would have saved us quite a bit of time in our bottle. We lost well over an hour trying to get the dandelions here, but now that we have these steam pipes, we should be able to use those to make some lapidary boilers. So are we missing anything? I think the answer is no. Perfect. So over here, we can just throw those down in the exact same place that we previously had our regular steam boilers, assuming that we put them down in the right place. Can I get that back? I can. And of course, all we have to do here is just swap the thing that's being exported. There are a few things that we can export here. For example, back over here, we do have quite a lot of lapis. The lapis is coming in automatically, of course, but not quite in the same way that diamonds are. And of course, the diamonds do last a lot longer as well. And so I think what I'll do is kind of get rid of this inventory hopper for now, because we're not going to export to this lapidary dynamo anymore. Instead, we will tell all 3 of these inventory hoppers to export diamonds instead. So here, here, and here. And then we'll take all of these and just load them up into the lapidary boilers. And then, like I said before, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this guy. I'll probably make another steam dynamo or 2, and I'll also probably make some higher tier integral components for basically everything that we have here, for all of the lapidary boilers and for all of the steam dynamos. And we could potentially also look, if we wanted to really squeeze efficiency out of this, we could look at getting something like the multi-cycle injectors here, which actually increase the fuel efficiency so that we need even fewer diamonds to actually get the same amount of power. These are really not that difficult. It's just lumium, lead gears, and more hardened glass, all of which we should be able to make fairly easily. All right, so a fair bit of crafting later, we now have resonant integral components in all of the boilers and all of the steam dynamos. I think you need 1 boiler per dynamo, so long as both the boiler and the dynamo have the same level of integral component. I have gone ahead and put some of these multi-cycle injectors into each of these steam dynamos. I was initially going to put it in the lapidary boiler here, but I think it makes more sense to put it in the steam dynamo, because I think the lapidary boiler will stop burning the diamonds once it fills up on steam anyway. And you'll see we are starting to back up on steam here, and we're also starting to back up on power at the top there as well, which is good. I did temporarily take those resonant integral components out of these machines, but I have since gone ahead and put them back in. I did also temporarily take out some of those flux linkage amplifiers, and these have been used over here. We can go ahead and put those back in around here to continue to get the inferium as fast as possible. And real quick, one thing that we didn't do, of course, is we didn't make that flux cell. So the flux cell here is going to allow us to store, hopefully, a fairly decent amount of power as a buffer, so that if we do ever decide to use our time in a bottle, or if we ever do temporarily increase our power usage, we hopefully have enough energy to make that work. So let me quickly get an electrum gear. We already have a redstone block. That's fine. And then from there, we are just missing this redstone flux cell frame, which is missing yet another electrum gear, actually. So real quick, let me grab 4 more electrum. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll wank that back in here. We'll put you in there. That's going to get us the flux cell. Just assuming we have enough glass, which of course we don't. That's fine. We can smelt some more sand. That electrum gear is done. And then after that, we of course need the cured rubber. For that, we are going to need a couple of buckets of water to go with our dandelions. People have pointed out that there is a slightly more efficient way of crafting these. I'll show that in just a second as soon as I do this and this, just to make this a fair bit faster. We've still got over 5.5 hours in our system. 5 glass is fine. Over here, I am going to use the craft that has the water bucket and then the dandelions around it. Alternatively, though, what you can do is you can put the dandelions into the multi-servo press. This will get you 50 millibuckets of liquid latex that you can then turn into a bucket of latex once you have 1,000 millibuckets, and then you can craft that latex into 3 rubber. Basically, if you do it this way, you can turn 20 dandelions into 3 rubber, versus the way that I'm doing it here, it takes 24 dandelions to make 3 rubber. It also, of course, requires these buckets of water as well, but given that the dandelions are now free and infinite and are still being made passively in our botany pot, I'm not really too worried about using more of these. And because this is going to be quicker and we don't have to worry about using the multi-servo press, I think it is worth doing. All we need to do now is head on back via our warp pipe, ideally, to our furnace, and then assuming one of these has fuel in it, we can then do something like this, and again, like this with our time in a bottle, and that should hopefully very quickly get us enough cured rubber for us to then be able to make our first redstone cell. Boom, and boom. Nice. And this is going to go right in front of our dynamo. So I'm going to place it right about here to make sure that all of the energy passes through here. Just like with every other machine, we do have to set the back to input and the front to output to allow the energy to pass through, but now we should see all of the energy from all of our dynamos headed into here. Now, there is a limit right now of 1,000 redstone flux per tick going in and out. There is one way we can increase that, and that is with an integral component. I don't know if I have what it takes to upgrade this. I totally do. Fantastic. Let's do a quick one of these. Not only is that going to increase the amount of redstone flux per tick that we can input and output from the flux cell, but it's also going to increase the total capacity from 1 million to 3 million. On top of that, we can also put in these stabilized RF coil augments to increase the capacity by 6 times the base amount, and these are so cheap to make. If we take those and we whack them in here, that's going to increase our transfer, because it does increase the transfer, 2x's it to 6,000, and it's going to increase our capacity to 18 million redstone flux, which I think is going to be pretty good. Over here, we are now flickering on all this. That's just because all of the power is going to start backing up in here. I say that, although it does appear that we are kind of not producing enough power now, which is very surprising. I was really under the impression that these were gonna hold up just fine. They are all at 100% efficiency. How are we doing on our machine power? It is going down. That is very surprising. I don't have like a rogue machine running, do I? I do have the crystallizer running at 60 redstone flux per tick. We can go ahead and turn that off. But it seems like even after all of this, we're really not doing too well on the power front still, which is very unfortunate. And so we might yet have to look at taking this further. Temporarily, I'll throw these auxiliary reaction chambers back in here. It looks like for now our diamonds are holding up. You'll see we've got 34 in here, so we are slowly backing up on diamonds. Hopefully that's going to start backing up power inside the energy cell. It is indeed. So now these are producing enough steam to keep these running. You'll see these are starting to back up now as well, which is good, even with the multi-cycle injectors there. But for now, let's pivot over and let's see if we can't make some of these eyes, because right now we have got none of them. So, well, we've got these 3 over here, but these are not craftable. These are acquired elsewhere. We need to get 10 eyes to fill the portal, and then we need 1 of each eye to actually do the craft. So basically, these 3 over here, we're going to put into the portal. We need to get 7 more eyes. So we need to make all of these eyes, but we need to make 7 of them twice. And I think we'll do that with some of the easier eyes, like this old eye right here. This, super straightforward. It is the sandstone, the sandy mulch, the red sand, which we can now make, of course, using our dirt essence and our fire essence, both of which we got in the last episode, and both of which have been coming in passively since then, thanks to our myriad phytogenic insulators. So we can do something like this to get a ton of red sand. And then From there, I think everything else should be fairly straightforward. We can also make regular sand with this as well, which is also going to make our lives a fair bit easier. Also, fun fact, you can use the fire essence here to just craft lava. If you craft it around a bucket, it just gets lava. Super easy way of getting lava, and then super easy way of getting obsidian as well. Obviously using the blast chiller. And other than that, we need the soul sand dust, which we did get a little bit of in a previous stream. We got 4 right here, although I'm going to go ahead and, of course, get 4 more so that we can make those extra eyes for the portal itself. And then in the middle, of course, we need the eye core. The eye core requires the air block, the earth block, the fire block, and the water block with 4 eyes of ender. I did do a fair bit of enderman farming, so we do have quite a few ender pearls here. We are going to need some more blaze powder as well, but that is fine. That's going to get us 1 eye core. We, of course, need 2 of those, and then we also need 1 for every single other eye as well. So it's definitely going to be worth getting kind of all of those maybe ahead of time. Speaking of which, my sword here is pretty low on durability. However, I think that the Opolis Utilities mod does add the item repairer. I don't know how much this is going to be worth it, but essentially here, we can go ahead and spend a fair bit of iron, 6 blocks, and then some more ingots on top of that to get 2 anvils. And that gets us the item repairer. The item repairer, as the name suggests, will repair items. If we go and throw this down, maybe next to our sprayer, we can put this in here. It is very slow, and it does only repair 1 durability at a time. You'll see on the top right there, it says 86, 87, and then this bar here is going to go to 88, and then 89, and it's going to slowly but surely repair the tool, but it's free, it doesn't require any power, and it does kind of just do its thing. I'm hoping that we can also maybe do something like this to make it a fair bit faster. We totally can. And that is going to allow us to repair this without having to go ahead and make a second one here. Not that it would be particularly difficult to do so, but I think that's still worth doing, and we'll probably do the same thing with our bedrock pickaxe as well. We can kind of just leave stuff in here while we work on other stuff. For example, now, what are we missing for this old eye? We are missing sandy mulch. Oh, and the red sand has to be in sandstone form, sure. Do we have any sandy mulch? Actually, we can just craft it. Here we go, right? It's like this and this, assuming you use sand and not dust, Isaac. We need 8 of that in total. And then back over here, can I make 2 of these? I can make 1, and then for the second one, I am missing the 4 sandstone that we got in here. I'm missing, of course, the eyes of ender for that second bit, and then I'm missing yet more red sand and yet more sandstone. That is completely fine. This is actually already basically full again, which is fantastic. And so what I'm going to do real quick before we get dug in too much with these eyes, I'm going to go through and get enough ender pearls and enough blaze powder to craft all of the required eye cores. I'm hoping that we already have enough essence to craft all of the earth, air, water, and fire blocks required for all of these eye cores. But real quick, I'm going to get even more ender pearls, of course, using our ender pearl fragments, and I'm going to get even more blaze rods using the sticks and the lava under the surrounding block. Alright, so a fair bit of ender pearl gathering and blaze fighting later, we now have 105 ender pearls and we have 49 blaze rods. I'm going to throw the blaze rods into the pulverizer to get even more blaze powder. That should get us close to 150 blaze powder. Doing some quick calculations, I think we need 104 of these eyes of ender, because I believe we need 26 of these eye cores. That's enough to make all of the eyes at least once. It's enough to make 10 of the eyes a second time, and then it's also enough to make the ender eye curio here, which in and of itself does require 5 extra eye cores. And so 26, I think, is the number, which means we need 26 air blocks, 26 earth blocks, 26 fire, and 26 water, which I think should be doable here. We should be able to craft these through, and we should have more than enough essence now to get 26 of these. There's 20. Let's go 23. I guess every time we craft one, we get 1 extra. That's 25. That's 26. Perfect. I guess this kind of doubles every time, right? So 16. And then 32 is more than we need, but I think it's, for the ease of crafting, I think it is worth just kind of doing it like this. That's going to get us 12, and then 24, and then we'll do that for 26. We do, of course, have our spares. I should probably make at least 1 or 2 extra on top of the spares. So let's do this, and let's put some of those away, just again to have like an extra level of safety so we don't have to go and use the backup ones. I'll do the same here as well. I'll make like 1 or 2 more of those just so that we have extra and we don't have to tap into our reserves. And then finally, let's do 8, 16, 32, and again, we'll put the rest of those back in the system. Perfect. All right, how are we doing over here? We've got 30 blaze powder. That's not quite 104. That is fine. We can do this. And of course, up here now, we are slowly but surely backing up on power. And so now it's kind of just a waiting game. Actually, we already have one eye core, so we didn't need quite that many, but I guess it's better to have more than not enough. That's 36, and those 36 can be used to make our initial 3. I should put all of these away, actually, so we can actually do the craft. Boom, there's our initial 9, and the rest of these are going to come in as we get more blaze powder, which we can then craft into more of these eyes of ender, which are really the kind of most expensive part of all of this. And a bit more crafting later, we now have 26 eye cores. Perfect. So I'll keep those in my inventory. And now it's just a case of crafting all these through. So I'm going to unbookmark quite a few things here. And I'm going to go ahead and bookmark basically all of the eyes so that we don't have to keep coming into here every time that we want to check a recipe. So we have the old eye, the redstone eye, we've got the evil eye, we have got the undead eye, we have the cold eye, we have got the nether eye, which is the only one that could be a little tricky. We have the lost eye, we have got the guardian eye, we have the cursed eye, we also have the magical eye, along with the corrupted eye, the witch eye, and the cryptic eye. All right, so the reason I said that the nether eye is going to be the most difficult is that it does require nether star shards. These obviously require a nether star seed, which requires 4 insanium essence, which is a ton of inferium. 4,096, I think, was the number we calculated, and we do not have that. We've got less than half. Thankfully, people have told me we might be able to find this in the nether, so it's possible we could get lucky and find that somewhere nearby. For now, though, let's go ahead and try and make at least 1, but if not 2, of some of the more difficult eyes that we have here. So for this, we're just missing more sandstone, which we can get by crafting more sand from our dirt and fire essence, and then we can turn that sand into sandstone. Easy. We can then do the exact same thing, of course, with the red sand. Let's do this, and then craft that into sandstone, and that should be it for our second old eye. It is. Perfect. Let's knock that off the list. Next up is the redstone eye. For the redstone eye, we need redstone ingots. How many do we need in total here? 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 redstone in total. So let's take 32 iron and 32 redstone, and we just craft those. We do indeed just craft those. That's fairly straightforward. We then need 8 pistons if we're going to make 2 of these. They do need to be sticky pistons. We did see before that we can unpack the blocks of magma if we use the unpacking die. The unpacking die requires 2 invar plates, and I believe it was 2 constantan plates. We do have 2 constantan, and we have 1 more invar. If we run all 3 of those through our multi-servo press without the gear working die, that should be everything that we need for the unpacking die, at which point we should then be able, if I'm not mistaken, to start turning blocks of magma into magma creams, and then from there, we can turn the magma creams, and we do have the blocks of magma here, let's do this, we can then turn those magma creams into slime balls using the centrifugal separator. The centrifugal separator is a machine that we don't currently have, however, given how easy it is to make machine frames in this pack, I think it's going to be fairly easy for us to make. We just need yet more constantan, which we can make with nickel and copper, both of which we have in abundance over in our induction smelter. And of course, we can give that a helpful tap. And as soon as we have 8, we can put it back in here with the gear working die like this to get our 2 constantan gears, at which point we should be pretty much good to go on the centrifugal separator. That does need to go down somewhere, and I guess for now, it's probably going to go down right about here. And we are going to need a flux duct to connect that up to power, like so. But with that, we should be able to do something like this, and that is going to begin to get us the slime balls. We do only need 8 slime balls in total here. Once we have those 8, that should be everything to make the 8 sticky pistons, of course, just as soon as we craft, hopefully, 8 regular pistons here. Fantastic. I was a little worried that we were going to run out of planks, but we do indeed have enough. And so now we are just missing the redstone essence, which we have, along with 12 signalum blend, which we can get by pulverizing signalum ingots. That is fine. We've got 3 signalum ingots here, but we can, of course, make more with redstone, copper, and tin. So real quick, let's drop all of those into here. I've got too much copper, that's fine. And then we'll give that a quick tap. And as soon as we have enough signalum, we'll obviously start pulverizing that over in here as well. And that should be basically everything. Obviously, we need twice as much, so we do need 24 signalum if we're going to get 2 lots of the redstone eye, which I think would be ideal. But that is going to be fairly straightforward. There's 12 signalum. Is that everything for 1 redstone eye? It is indeed. Fantastic. And then as soon as we get our second lot of 12 signalum, and you'll see here that because we've got that big buffer of power, the pulverizer being sped up doesn't completely tank all of our power right away, which is fantastic. And boom, there is our second redstone eye. Nice. We can knock that off the list, and we're on to the evil eye. So the evil eye requires netherite nuggets, black dye, twinite ingots, and then gold carrots. So carrots we do have. I will probably end up just bone mealing these. We do have the botany pots, which we could use as well, but I think the bone mealing might just be easier. Again, we need 32 carrots in total. I think that's going to be fine. Netherite nugget-wise, we need 12 netherite nuggets, which means we need 24 in total. We obviously get those in sets of 9, so I do believe that we're going to have to get 27, which means 3 netherite ingots. Currently, we have 0 netherite ingots. However, we can, of course, turn our netherite scrap into netherite ingots, assuming we have enough of these bedrock chunks, which we totally do. Fantastic. Let me quickly craft those up into 2 netherite ingots. We're going to be just a little bit shy. We're missing 2 netherite scrap. Of course, we do have an abundance of these debris ore pieces. In fact, it's going to help us to craft these down because our inventory system is getting a little cramped. We've got quite a lot of stuff in our chest now, which is not ideal, but we can go and throw these down, and for now we can put most of these back in the system because we can then just grab our shovel, break these, and that's going to get us all of the netherite scrap that we're going to need for now, and of course we can do that again in the future should we need even more. Boom, and boom. There is 27 nuggets, more than the 24 that we need. The black dye, of course, is just ink sacks. Right now, we got 5 ink sacks in here, and we do need to get 8 black dye. And so, real quick, let me check over here. Do I have any more ink sacks? I do. I got 5 more, which is perfect. We could, of course, have made another one of these bait boxes, although, to be fair, the last bait box isn't even fully used up yet. And so now it's just the twinite ingot, really, which is enderium, amethyst shards, and apatite. So, apatite, we're going to have to make more of it. That's fine. We'll do that over in here. Amethyst, I think, is a similar situation. We currently have 3 amethyst shards, but we are going to have to get quite a few more of those because it's 2 per twinite ingot. And so we are going to have to get some of the amethyst dust. The amethyst dust we do not have. That is because we get the amethyst dust, of course, by putting niter under the purified water. And again, of course, we do have to go through a bit of a rigmarole. We have to put the niter dust into the crystallizer. Thankfully, we have already done that, and so we can do this and this. That's hopefully going to get us a decent amount of this apatite dust. It is a 40% chance with the tier 6 mesh. Of course, after it's done through there, we're going to have to run it through the crystallizer as well. That's fine. And we also do need some more enderium. The enderium should be a little bit easier. We are completely out of ender pearls again now because we've just used all of them making eyes of ender for the eye core. So I am once again going to have to fight even more of these guys. But as for the diamond, dust, and the lead, we've got a ton of both of those, more than enough to make all of the enderium that we're going to need for the twinite ingots. Let me throw this in here and in here. And so real quick, I'm going to fight some more endermen, and I'm also going to see about growing 32 carrots. I did decide to temporarily just use the botany pot here, so I'd taken out the stack and a bit of dandelions that we had. I did misclick and I ended up going up to 256x, which did use more of my time than I would have liked. It used about an hour, but we have very quickly managed to get a decent number of carrots here. It's not letting me open this drawer for some reason, which is not ideal, but we've got more than a stack of carrots, and the carrots are still coming in slowly but surely. I did initially think about growing them with bone meal, but it just takes so long, and we don't really have that much bone meal. And so instead, what I'll do is I'll just swap this back out like this. I don't think we're going to need more dandelions going forward, but that is 2 carrot stacks nice and quickly. And back over here, I think we are pretty much good to go now. Let me do this to start getting the enderium. Over in here, we can, of course, begin to craft down some gold into gold nuggets, and then we can craft those gold nuggets around our carrots. We need 32. That's not quite going to be enough. That's fine. We've got, I think, more than enough gold. We do indeed. Perfect. Boom, and boom, and boom. Perfect. 30 and 31 and 30, 2 gold carrots. Cool. Chat is right. We should probably eat a carrot. That will assist us in getting even more hearts, which I think are going to be useful if we go to fight the end dragon. We could also do the same with a gold carrot as well. It's a little pricey, but it does have the chance to increase the number of hearts that we have even further, and so I do think it's probably worth it. Let's do this and this to refill on those carrots. Over here, we have more than enough enderium, and so now it's just enderium with apatite and amethyst. I did, of course, go ahead and put the amethyst into here, so we have those amethyst shards ready to go. Boom, And we'll give that a quick tap as well with our time in a bottle to hopefully make that a fair bit faster. We need 8 of these in total, which we have. Nice. And so that should be everything for 2 evil eyes. It is indeed fantastic. Let's drop that in the system and let's take it off the list. So next up, we have the undead eye. This one I'm going to come back to because I think we just have to kill a bunch of zombies. The cryptic eye might be somewhat doable because we have so much experience essence. We've got 321. We of course just need a ton of it. We then need to get 8 of these enchanters and 8 insightful crystals. The insightful crystals are emeralds with lapis and bottles of enchanting. The bottles of enchanting are just experience droplets with glass bottles, and the experience droplets are just experience crafted like this. Glass bottles, of course, are going to be super easy for us to make, assuming we have glass, which we do. We can do something like this, and then we can make a couple of these bottles. Again, we would need 8 of these if we're going to make 2 lots of all of these insightful crystals. As far as the enchanter goes, we're going to need to get 8 enchanting tables with a bunch of soulstone and some solium ingots. The solium ingots does require solium, which I'm assuming we have a decent amount of because we're making it passively. We are indeed, along with some of the prosperity ingots, which are going to be the most difficult part here. It just depends on whether or not we have enough prosperity shards. Thankfully, we do. I think I'm going to make 1 of these for now, and we can come back and make a second one if we need it, because I don't know if this is going to be one of the 10 eyes that we do make 2 of or not. As far as the soulstone goes, this is super straightforward. It's just solium around any kind of stone. We'll take 12 of those. And then from there, we do need to make 4 regular enchanting tables. For that, we're going to need some diamonds, which we can siphon from our boilers, but we're also going to need some books as well. And the books could prove tricky because we actually don't have any leather. And I guess this kind of does lead us back around to the eye that we just skipped, that being the undead eye. This requires bones, which we do have a decent number of, and of course we can get more through the fish that we have, but it also requires a bunch of this bundled flesh, which we get by crafting rotten flesh. We did find 1 rotten flesh in a sunken ship, and so now we can use that rotten flesh with our summoning altar to summon a zombie that we can then of course kill with our looting sword, which I think I have put in the system. So over here we can do this, and of course we can do this. Hopefully we get at least 1 rotten flesh from this guy. We do, and then I guess we kind of just need to keep doing this until we have enough rotten flesh to make the undead eye, which is quite a bit, but then we also need to do it until we have enough rotten flesh to make the leather as well, which we can do via the drying table here. The drying table itself, super easy to make. And so I guess real quick, I'm going to go ahead and kill a ton of zombies. And again, a ton of fighting later. We now have over 2 stacks of rotten flesh. We're going to take most of these, I think, and craft them into bundled rotten flesh. Again, we do want to make sure we keep a few of these in case we need to fight more zombies in the future and get more of the rotten flesh, but I believe now that we do have enough of the bundled flesh and enough bones to get us both of these undead eyes. The only thing we don't now have is all of the bone broth. So the bone broth is made in a cooking pot. For this, we do need a shovel, and we're going to need another bucket of water. That should be fine. Let me quickly grab one from here. Scrooge McDuck hanging out in the water. He's just getting a quick bath. That's fine. That should be everything for the cooking pot. It is indeed. I actually don't know if this needs to have a heat source underneath it. It might, so I'm going to put it 1 block further up. It looks like it does need heat from below. I'm hoping that a campfire might do the trick there. If I do this and I put the campfire beneath it, that does indeed work. Cool. And so from there, if we want to get 8 of the broth here, we need 8 bones, we need potentially 8 bowls, and then we need 8 mushrooms, but also we can use these mushroom fish to get mushrooms, because the brown mushrooms here can be acquired from these brown shroomas. So if we were to start by getting the 8 bowls that we're going to need, that will probably make our lives easy. Boom. Then from there, over in our fish net here, we do have 2 brown shroomer and 2 red shroomer. We're probably going to need more shroomer, because I think that's not going to be enough. If we do, oh, of course we have to craft these as well, right? So we do this. Oh, we get more than 1 at a time. That's actually super useful then. Never mind. Let me take that mushroom back off the campfire there. Never mind. I guess I can't take that mushroom off the campfire now. It's going to live there until we finish the series. Instead, let's do this and let's do this. And hopefully that's going to get us 8 of these mushroom broths. I don't know if they stack. They do stack. That's actually incredibly helpful. And so I think with that, we have enough to make 2 of these undead eyes. Of course, all of my bones are in here. Let's not use any more bones than we necessarily have to so that we can do this and this. Perfect. All right, that is very good. We can knock that off the list and put this away. Next up, we have the cold eye. The cold eye requires 4 frost melon slices, 4 ice essence, 12 blizz cubes, and then 16 water agglomeration. So the ice essence we've got. The frost melon slices, I think we can get from our frost melon seeds. Here we can grow these, I think, again, just in a botany pot. We can't, unfortunately. It does have to be inside a phytogenic insulator. That is fine. Let's go ahead and temporarily hijack maybe the ice seed one here. If I put this in, is that going to grow? I think it might, although it doesn't appear to be. It is, it's just real slow. That's fine. Let's temporarily steal this guy, and then let's do something like this to hopefully make that a reasonable bit faster. In total here, we need 8 of these frost melon slices, and each one of the frost melons here gets you 9, actually, so we are pretty much already good to go, actually. We just need to put one of those into a multi-server press with the unpacking die, which we do already have. And so let's go ahead and put the ice seed back in there. Let's swap you back out over to here to keep that inferium coming in, and then back over here we can put in our unpacking die, which we should have in the system. Boom and boom, and that's going to get us a ton of frost melon slices. Nice. So now we just need the 16 water agglomeration, which is super easy. We just need 16 gravel, 16 dirt, 16 clay, and 16 buckets of water. All of that is going to be super straightforward. Clay we've got. Dirt and gravel it looks like we do in fact have. Perfect. And of course we can make some of those. Gravel we don't have. Can I make gravel? I can make gravel, but I think it's going to be easier if we just go mine it from the bottom of the ocean. The only thing we don't then have is the blizz cubes. I'm fairly certain that we can summon the blizz using the summoning altar. We can. We do need packed ice for that, and thankfully, we can make packed ice. Nice. So over here, let's get rid of this guy. Let's place down our packed ice, and now we just need to right-click blizz powder onto here to summon a blizz, and if I'm not mistaken, we should have a ton of blizz powder. We do 470 in the system. Over here, I have been recharging my fluid sword from all of its use, and so if we do this over here, I should, just like with the blazes, put a block down at the top just so they don't fly up, because I'm pretty sure the blazes are very similar to blazes, and just like with every other entity that we've been doing here, we've kind of been putting enough of them down to where they start to cram, like this, because then they will all take damage, one of them will die, but then you'll see the rest of them are left with a very small amount of health, and it makes it super easy to kill the remaining entities. Nice, and that got us 28 blizz cubes. We actually only need 32 if we want to make this twice. Again, though, I do think it is worth going just all the way up until you get to the point where they start to take damage. Perfect, at which point we can just kill the remainder of them, and we can very, very quickly get all the blizz cubes. Nice, and so I guess now it just leaves the water agglomeration, and so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and get just a ton of buckets of water and craft a ton of water agglomeration. Chat is right here. Much like with the lava, we can use the water essence to make buckets of water. This is actually one of those situations where pull missing item from player's inventory is very useful to have on instead of off. Before I didn't like having it on, but here, if we craft all these water buckets, that's obviously easy enough. But if you turn this on, well, actually, I'll show you if you don't have it on and you try and craft this, it will just craft the one and then stop. If you have it on and you try and craft this, it will then, if you shift left click, pull all of the buckets out of your inventory, put all the empty buckets in the system, and then use all the buckets you have full of water to make all of the water agglomeration. And so that, I think, is everything for coal line number 1. We just need to get enough water agglomeration again, so I need to do the exact same thing here. We need to take this, make a ton of water buckets, and then use those to make the water agglomeration. Boom. And we just do that one more time here. Let's go and fill up all of these buckets. Fantastic. Let's do this and this. Perfect. And that should be everything for, again, even more of the eyes. Nice. So that's 2 cold eyes. Perfect. Let's put those away. And now it's the nether eye next. So we obviously can't make the nether eye just yet, but as I mentioned earlier, people were saying there might be some of these in the nether. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to grab my glider. I'm going to head back to the nether fortress that we visited a few episodes ago, and I'm going to see if any of those chests did in fact have a netherite in them. And if they did, that's going to make our lives just a whole heck of a lot easier. And there it is. Look at that. Nether eye. Perfect. Just right here in a random chest in the fortress. That is going to make life a lot easier. I might look around a bit more because if we can find a second one, that's of course just one less eye that we have to craft. And given how easy it was for us to find that one, there's a decent chance that there might be another one. I don't know if it's like a thing where there's only one per fortress or if that's nonsense and there's potentially quite a few of them. This is not the area that we were in last time, so there's also a possibility that if we head back vaguely to where we were before, we might also find even more chests that have potentially more eyes, but I think it would be nice if we could get a second eye here. And there we go, on the other side of the fortress, there is a second nether eye. We're about to get destroyed by blazes, so I'm going to do a quick slash home and take a quick cooling dip into the ocean. Fantastic. And that's 2 nether eyes, so we can actually use kind of the most expensive eye as one of our 10 eyes for filling the portal. Very nice. So, next up, we have, let's get rid of this. We were working on the cryptic eye here. The cryptic eye should be fairly straightforward. We do need to make some emeralds if we're going to get that cryptic eye. The emeralds are made from diamonds. You'll see here we are slowly backing up on diamonds now, which is very nice indeed. I was a little worried that we wouldn't be making them fast enough, but thankfully we are. And here, we just need to get some more prudentium to make this work. Essentially, we do the prudentium around the diamonds. That gets us the emerald dust. The emerald dust can then, of course, go in the crystallizer. We do need 8 emerald dust to make the 1 cryptic eye, and so I am going to have to make a little bit more in the way of prudentium. I don't know if we have enough durability left on our crystals here. I think we might do, actually. 31 should be enough. Let's do this. Let's grab some of those diamonds. If they've not already been exported, they have. That's fine. We can go and re-grab them again out of one of these. Thankfully, those have been evenly distributed, which I'm very happy to see. This is working away. That's fine. Over here, we can go boom and boom, and that's going to get us 8 more, which is more than what we need. Perfect. And so now it is just a case of making the other stuff here. So for the books, we need leather. For the leather, we need a drying table. The drying table, we're just missing a mesh. That is fine. Let's go over here and type in drying table. Boom and boom. From there, we do need another bundle of rotten flesh, which thankfully we have. And so if we just whack this down, let's say here, we can then put in the bundle of flesh. That's going to then kind of cool or dry into leather. Nice. I will make this a little bit faster here. How are we doing on paper or sugarcane? Not very well on either. We've got a little bit of sugarcane here. We should probably, though, go and once again kind of hijack our botany pot to get even more sugarcane. If we do a quick one of these, we can once again take the dandelion out of here, take all of the dandelions out of here, swap out the dandelion for sugarcane, which does grow on mulch. And right now we're at 4 hours and 9 minutes. Let's do a quick 128x speed upgrade. That's going to get us a bunch of sugarcane. We can leave that doing its thing whilst we look at what else we need. So we do need to get these enchanting tables, which is where the books are needed. We are going to need a bunch of obsidian. The obsidian we might be able to make with the ice charges. These would require gunpowder, which we can also make, although I don't know. I think the blast chiller still might be the way to go, just because it's a bit less hassle. Over here, these are obviously fairly straightforward. As soon as we have the 8 emeralds, which we don't yet have because they're very, very slow, but as they come in, we can then craft them like this, and we need, of course, 4 of these insightful crystals to get the eye. And yeah, at that point, we just need the enchanter, which just needs the book, which just needs the paper, and the obsidian. The solium ingot we have the ability to make at least. And then as far as the soulstone goes, that was super easy. I'm pretty sure we have all of the soulstone. We do indeed. And so real quick, all I'm going to do is, whilst I wait for that sugarcane to come in, I'm going to quickly craft up a bunch more buckets of lava. And we, in total here, need to get 16 obsidian. And so we just need 16 buckets of lava. And not too long later, there's 16 obsidian. We also have 38 sugarcane and more being grown. So let's do this. Let's do this. We need at least 4 books for now, but we'll leave the rest for later. That should be enough for 4 enchanting tables. Of course, all of our diamonds are still over back here. We're also a little light on hunger, so I will eat some duck eggs here. Let's take a few of you. And back around here, that should be everything that we need to craft up 1, 2, 3, 4 enchantment tables, and then from there, we just need to craft those into 1, 2, 3, 4 enchanters. With those enchanters, we should then be, I think, pretty much good to go. Let's take a bunch of experience essence. Of course, we also need to make 2 more of these insightful crystals, which we should be able to do because now our emeralds are done. Let's do 1 and 2. Perfect. And then over here, do we have everything that we need? We do. Nice. Okay, it's cool. We're not going to make 2 of those just yet. We'll see how we do on the other eyes, and if we do need to make 2, we'll come back for that. But next up, I think we have the lost eye here, which should be pretty straightforward. Again, for now, I'm going to make one of all of these, and we'll decide on which one we're going to make extras of a little later. This requires some lodestone. We do need to get a fair bit more netherite then for that, which for the most part is fine. The gold is fine, and the netherite scrap should be fine. The bedrockium chunks here are all that I'm a little concerned about. We need to put bedrock-infused obsidian under eroding water again, because right now, we've got 11 of those, which I don't think is going to be enough. Netherwort-wise as well, we are not looking good. However, we can, again, grow this in a botany pot. It does specifically have to be on soul sand or soul soil. The soul soil is superior in this situation, but we do not have what it takes to make it. That's fine. We'll go ahead and, for now, just whack the soul sand in here instead of the sugarcane. Boom, boom. And we'll leave that going passively for now, but while I work on other stuff. And if we need to, we can always use the time in a bottle a little later on down the line to make that faster. And then other than that, we do need these 4 recovery compasses, which means we need 4 more compasses. And those 4 extra compasses need to be surrounded by echo shards, which I think we actually have all of the echo shards required. We totally do. So we just need then to get 12 lodestone. And for that, we need some chiseled stone brick, which we can definitely do. We can make a stone cutter, and we already have a bunch of stone. And so if we just go whack this down, I guess we'll add it to our line of machinery over here. We can then do something like this and this. That's going to get us a ton of chiseled brick. And after that, we just need to make all the netherite, which means we're going to have to grab all of our debris gravel ore and break it all with a shovel. And with all that broken down, we have over 4 stacks of netherite scrap, which we'll throw away. And then from there, we are going to need to get some more obsidian, which we might have 1 in here. We do. And we need to replace down one of our pieces of bedrock here on top of a strainer. Right now, we don't have any of those down. Let's do this and let's do this. That, I believe, is going to work. We, of course, do need a high tier mesh. And ideally, we'd also want the input upgrade as well, which is currently in here. Thankfully, both the high tier mesh and the input upgrade are in the same strainer, so we can go boom, boom. And that is going to start to work, but I'm fairly certain that we're going to want to get more obsidian to keep that going. So let's do more of this, and let's do more of this to get us even more obsidian that we can turn into even more of the bedrock-infused obsidian. Thankfully, this is a 100% chance to work, and as we've seen before, it's also an 80% chance to not use the obsidian, which I'm very hopeful will play out in our favor. It did not. We got 1 single piece out of there, which is not very nice at all. Thankfully, though, we do have more obsidian coming in, and so we can take advantage of this. This time we did get a little bit more lucky. Let's also do one of these to hopefully get that obsidian faster, because the one that is in here will wear out. And then once we have a couple, again, we got so unlucky on that. Once we get a decent amount of bedrock-infused obsidian, though, we can then take that and run it through a different strainer with eroding water to get some of the pieces. And hopefully that's going to be enough. So bedrock-infused obsidian, we have got 15 and counting. Each one of these is guaranteed. And so in theory, if we have 15 of these, unless we get unlucky, we would expect to get 15 multiplied by 5 approximately. We'd expect to get about 5 per bedrock-infused obsidian. And so hopefully this would work out in our favor. Let's give it a try, though. Over here, let's do this, this, and this. That's automatically receiving an iron mesh, which is why that kept getting filled up. And then let's also do one of these to make that a decent bit faster. And hopefully that gets us enough bedrock chunks so that we can make all of the 12 netherite required. We just need to make all these ingots, and then we need to turn all those ingots into netherite ingots, and then we need to craft all of those netherite ingots, of course, with all of the chiseled stone that we made. We are going to need more chiseled stone. We only made 1 stack. We're going to need more than that, but that should be fine. At that point, we should have everything to make it, and even if we don't get enough chunks from this, we do have more obsidian. We can even go ahead and make even more obsidian because we got so much of the fire essence here. Let me, in fact, kind of do that as a bit of a contingency so that if needs be, we can take the extra obsidian, run it again through over here with the same mesh, with the same upgrade, and hopefully things are good for us. One other thing I should point out, you can take these high tier meshes and run them through the repairer. That does indeed work. And of course you can tap that with the time in a bottle to make it faster. And that is going to allow you to kind of continually use the same mesh without making a new one, especially given how much of a pain it is to make more emeralds. It's not too bad for us at this point in time, but especially earlier in the pack, given how easy it is to make the item repairer, this is pretty useful. And there we go. 12 lodestone. Lodestone? lodestone. I'm not quite sure, but either way, I believe that's everything we need. Of course, the nether wart is the last thing that we actually do need, and the nether wart has been chugging away. It's not been that long. This didn't take as long as I thought it would, and so we might not have that much in here. We've got 13, and we need 16, so we do need a tiny bit more. We don't have to go quite as aggressive on the time of bottling here. We do only need 3 more nether wart. Again, we might look at making a second one of these. This one wasn't too bad, again, depending on whether or not we need it for the portal, but for now, we do have, I believe, everything that it takes over here to make the lost eye. Apparently, we are missing just 1 compass. Nice. Boom and boom. So I'll check that off the list. What is up next? Up next here, we have the Guardian Eye, as well as the Cursed Eye. The Cursed Eye looks pretty easy, actually. We do need blaze rods. How many blaze rods do we have? The answer is 0 because we turned them all into blaze powder. That's fine. We can kill some more blazes. If we're going to make this, it does require 12 obsidian. We're going to make 24, I think, because we can make 2 of these fairly easily. And then rotten flesh we have. I don't know if you can debundle the rotten flesh. I don't think you can, but we do still have 19 here. That's actually more than enough to make both of them, actually. So that's completely fine. And so, yeah, we just need blaze rods and obsidian. Obsidian we can, of course, get with the lava buckets. We can continue to put those in over here. In total, we are going to need to get 24 buckets of lava to make 24 obsidian. That is fine. Even if we do run out of fire essence, which right now we're not really in danger of doing, we could, of course, go and grab some lava from the nether. We could also grab lava from the caves underground. All of that stuff could work. And so I'll leave this running, and while that runs, I am going to go and kill more blazes until we have enough blaze rods here, 32 in total, to make 2 cursed eyes. And once we have all of the obsidian, I've also got all the blaze rods, I believe that we're good to go on the 2 cursed eyes as well. Good. All right, let me type in eye here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've got 9 eyes that we have 2 of. It does say that all the eyes have to be unique. I do believe that means we can't put a regular eye in, and so we might have to get 2 of these last 4 eyes here, but let's take a look. So the Guardian Eye I'm still going to come back to. Well, for this we need the Heart of the Sea, which I believe we did get when we were exploring. We did. We have 6 Hearts of the Sea. We then also need to get prismarine shards and prismarine crystals. The prismarine shards we can get by apparently hammering prismarine, which I think is fine. We'll find the prismarine potentially down underwater. The prismarine crystals are a little trickier, I guess. These, I think we can get by breaking sea lanterns. The prismarine seeds are not really useful because they require prismarine crystals to make, but I think that we kind of just have to go find some sea lanterns and then break those to get prismarine crystals. So, for example, over there is 1 sea lantern. We've also swam past quite a few of them, though, and for example, there's a temple over there that's going to have quite a few more of them. If we go break those, I'm fairly certain they drop both prismarine shards and prismarine crystals. So if I break this, we get just prismarine crystals, not prismarine shards. That is interesting. Let me go break a few more of them over here. And in fact, look at this. There's so many of them. There's also a lot of guardians down there, though. We might head down there if needs be. I'm a little concerned about the fact that my hunger is pretty low. This is one of those times where some kind of magnet would be quite useful. I'd also, there we go, like to breathe, which we did manage to do temporarily. And then let's just see if we can't break the rest of these here without getting caught. We need 16 of these in total. So if we can get 16 of the prismarine crystals, at that point we're kind of good to go. In fact, the Guardian has given us mining fatigue, which is not good. It's kind of going to prevent us from being able to do anything for at least a little while here, for 5 more minutes. So I think we're going to have to go slash home. We don't have any milk or anything to get rid of that debuff, but if we can quickly and stealthily head back and get the remaining crystals, and also, of course, get the remaining blocks of prismarine that we can then turn into prismarine shards, this eye here should be fairly straightforward. While we wait for that, back over here, we have the Corrupted Eye, which I think might be one of the easier eyes. This requires stone buttons, which we can make in abundance, easy, along with cobblestone, which we also have in abundance, and then, of course, these crossbows. The crossbows need tripwire hooks. We can make those. That's fine, in abundance, as well as string, which we don't have, but we can get by unpacking wool, and wool we can make with other string, I think. Let me see here. Do we have... We don't have any of the leafy string. I was wondering if we could take the leafy string, craft the leafy string into green wool, and then turn that green wool into regular string. It looks like, unfortunately, we can't. I guess we could potentially try and just summon some spiders, because that can be done with a spider eye and some stone. As far as spider eyes are concerned, we don't have any, so we would have to go find a spider. Although we might just be able to grow some flax, actually, because we do have flax seeds. Nice. And so I think it's this flax seed and not the other flax seed. But if I take this and we throw it, again, you guessed it, into our botany pot over here, I think there is a decent chance, of course, assuming that we take the nether wart out and throw in the mulch instead, that we might be able to grow some flax and use that to just make strings. I can't put that one in, which is unfortunate. Let me try the other flax seed. This one also isn't going to work in the botany pot, but it does work in the phytogenic insulator. Again, that's fine. Let's do something like this. Let's do something like this. And let's also, I guess, again, temporarily do something like this. That's going to get us flax. We can just craft that flax directly into string, and that string can be used for the crossbows. While we wait for that, I guess we kind of just have to go back to the nether and try and get a bunch of this crimson stem, which we should just be able to harvest from the right biome. Thankfully for us, as soon as we enter the nether, we are basically already in the right place. The only downside for us is that we have to wait 18 seconds here for our mining fatigue to wear off, so we can actually harvest all of the crimson stem here. And one quick harvest later, we got 64 crimson stem, which I think is more than enough to get 2 of these corrupted eyes, which I think we definitely will do, and this will be the 10th, I believe, and final eye that we get 2 of. Over here, this is good to go. Let's do this and get a bunch of string. That, hopefully, is enough for us to get 8 of these crossbows. I should really have these in my inventory. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I also did quickly upgrade more of the chests over there to gold chests, because we were running into a very unfortunate storage space issue where we were just not able to put stuff in the system, which is not ideal. Over here, boom, that is 1 corrupted eye. And if we grab those crossbows out, we should be able to get another one of those corrupted eyes. And like I said, if I'm not mistaken, I think that should be our 10th eye that we have 2 of. Let me check here. Let me clear my inventory and let me go ahead. I should put those ice seeds actually back where they belong. Not that I think we're going to need more ice seeds going forward. I've got no idea where those went because I no longer have them in the system. That's, you know what? That's fine. We'll deal with that in the future. Let me dump a lot of this stuff and let's see here. Eye-wise, we need 10 different eyes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Cool, we have 10 different eyes. And so I believe that now, if we take all 10 of those eyes and we head back this way, we can go back to the fortress that we found at the start of the episode, and I believe that we should be able to put all of these in, of course, as soon as we get the curio. Right, yes, sure. That is kind of what we're working towards. The whole point of all of these eyes, aside from the fact that you do need them for the fortress, is that we also do need them in order to craft this curio right here. Once we have this curio, we can then put them in the slot. And that's why we need 2 of some of them. The Cryptid Eye is done. We now just need the Witch Eye, which seems pretty straightforward. The Magical Eye, which is going to be fine. We are going to have to make these enchanted books, but other than that, I think that's not going to be a problem. And then, of course, we need to go get that Prismarine again, which I think is also going to be fine. Over here, we're at 3,400 Inferium, so we're getting close to what we need. Thankfully, we no longer need the 4,096 for the Nether Star Seed, which is very nice indeed. Now we just need the Inferium for some other stuff that I'll get into in the next episode. Next time, chat, we'll come back. We will craft the remaining 3 eyes so that we can actually make the curio. We will then take the eyes through to the end fortress where we can actually go ahead and open it once we've got the curio. We then need to fight the dragon. That potentially might be where the Inferium Essence comes into play. And then once we fought the dragon, I don't think the end of this pack is going to be that difficult for us to do at all. But of course, that is a problem for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Submerged there.